Hello everyone, welcome back or to مدرسة. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today we are going to start with the baccalaureate prep. So if you're not ready, I got you. If you're ready, I got you, okay? So in order to start you off on the right foot, we must begin with a very important grammar lesson, okay? Now, today's lesson is going to be about verb tenses. الازمنة, okay? ازمنة الافعال, verb tenses. So this lesson is the key that you need to unlock the upcoming grammar lessons. So this lesson is key. هذا الدرس هو مفتاح الدروس القادمة في القواعد. If you do not understand this lesson, trust me, you're not going to be able to understand the rest of the lessons. إذا لم تفهم هذا الدرس لن تتمكن من فهم دروس القواعد القادمة في الإنجليزية, okay? This lesson is really important for all English levels, okay? But especially for the baccalaureate students, okay? So, the lesson is going to be divided into different categories, okay? So we're going to talk about the tenses, what are the verb tenses, and how to use them correctly. ما هم الأفعال and how to use them correctly. كيف نستعمل الأزمنة في شكل صحيح بشكل صحيح, sorry. How to identify the tense of the verbs in sentences. كيف أتعرف على زمن الفعل or كيف أصرف الفعل في أي زمن أصرف الفعل, okay? How do I know which tense should I use? Common verbs list. So this is a list قائمة الأفعال المتكررة في امتحانات الإنجليزية لشهادة البكالوريا or قائمة الأفعال المتكررة في المحادثات هنا اليومية في اللغة الإنجليزية, okay? The verbs that we use in our daily basis, okay? Example sentences, امثلة, and exercises. Okay. First tense we're going to start with is the present simple, which is a very basic tense. أبسط زمن هو زمن الحاضر. Okay. The present simple. It expresses a fact which is always true, also known as general truth. So a general truth is حقيقة دائمة, a fact, واقع. Okay. Something that everyone knows. الكل يعلم بهذا الواقع. Okay. الكل يعرف هذا الواقع. Okay. A fact that won't change. لن يتغير. Okay? It also expresses a fact which is true for a long time, okay? But after a long time, it won't be true anymore. بعد وقت طويل لن يبقى هذا الواقع واقع, okay? We call it the permanent fact. واقع دائم, but for a long time. We also have a temporary fact, which is واقع مؤقت, something that is true, but only for a limited period of time. في زمن مدة زمنية معينة. After that period of time, بعد هذه المدة الزمنية, it's not going to be a fact. لن يبقى واقع. Okay? It's temporary. Permanent fact, واقع دائم. Temporary fact, واقع مؤقت. Okay? And a general truth is a general truth. واقع that everyone knows. الكل يعلم بهذه الحقيقة. Okay? Let's take a look at some examples. He comes from Japan. He comes from Japan. I underlined the verb and I color-coded it. So comes. He comes from Japan. This is a fact that we know about our friend Ronald, for example. So Ronald is our friend or our relative, one of our family members. And we know that he comes from Japan. So we need to use the present simple tense. He comes from Japan. Another example, the earth revolves around the sun. The earth revolves around the sun. الأرض تدور حول الشمس. So this is a general truth. Everyone knows that the earth revolves around the sun. Studies show, أثبتت الدراسات, that the earth revolves around the sun. الأرض تدور حول الشمس. So this is 100% fact, general truth. Another example, she works in a bank. She works in a bank. Now, this is a fact, but it can be a temporary fact. So, for example, our friend Amy works in a bank. Maybe now she's working in a bank. she's been working in a bank for months. Okay, بدأت العمل في البنك months ago. Okay, لأشهر. And now she's still working. هي الآن لا زالت تعمل في in a bank. Maybe after a long time, maybe in 5 years, بعد 5 سنوات, in 5 months, بعد 5 أشهر, in 5 weeks, بعد 5 أسابيع, maybe, just maybe, she's going to get another job. Maybe ستغير العمل, تتحصل على وظيفة أخرى. Sorry, okay? So this fact that we know about Amy, هذا الواقع الذي نعرفه عن our friend Amy, is available for a short period of time. لفترة معينة, لفترة مؤقتة. So it's temporary. It's not a fact that will last for a lifetime. هذا الفاكت, هذا الواقع لن يدوم لمدة زمنية طويلة or forever, للأبد. Okay, so this is only a temporary fact, واقع مؤقت about our friend Amy. Okay, so this is why we use the verb work in the present simple. So she works in a bank. Okay. The present simple also expresses a habit or a routine. A habit is suluk or عادة, something that we are used to do, okay? Also known as repeated actions. الافعال المتكررة, okay? أفعال نكررها on a daily basis, on a day-to-day basis, يوميا, okay? I have a few examples. She goes for a walk every day. She goes for a walk every day. I have underlined every day for a reason. Now, we are talking about a repeated action. She goes for a walk every day. هي تذهب للمشي كل يوم, every day. Every day she does the same thing. تقوم بنفس الشيء. Okay, which is going for a walk. So I have to use the verb go in the present simple tense. She goes. Okay. Sam often or often, so you can pronounce it whichever way you like. يمكن أن تنطقها often or often. It depends. So she often visits his grandma. Okay? So this is also a habit. He doesn't visit his grandmother every day. هو لا يزور جدته كل يوم, but he often visits her. أحيانا, okay? Not always, but sometimes, okay? So we have to use the verb visit in the present simple tense, visits, okay? Let's take a look at the next slide. The present simple tense is also used to talk about timetables and future schedules, okay? A timetable or a schedule is basically like a planner or جدول توقيت, okay? With everything that you have to do. So we have to use the present simple to talk about that. Here's an example. Usually when we talk about transportation, like a trip by train, رحلة في قطار, رحلة في حافلة, or a flight, okay? رحلة by plane, في طائرة, we have to use the present simple to talk about the schedule. لنتحدث عن الوقت, وقت الرحلة, okay? The departure and the return. وقت الإقلاع ووقت الوصول. Okay, so we have to use the present simple to talk about that. The train arrives at 8 a.m. The train arrives at 8 a.m. يصل القطار على الساعة 8. So we have to use the verb arrive in the present simple tense, okay, to talk about the schedule. English classes start tomorrow. Okay, this is also included in the schedule. We know that we are going to start the English classes tomorrow. My tongue did the thing. So the English classes or the lessons start tomorrow. So future schedule. This is a future schedule. We still did not start our English classes. Okay. لم نبدأ بدروس اللغة الإنجليزية بعد. Okay, but we are going to. سوف نبدأ. So we have to use the present simple in order to talk about the future schedule. Okay, جدول توقيت. Future time clauses. So the present simple is also used with future time clauses. A clause is basically a sentence, okay? عبارة, جملة, okay? That shows the future time, okay? المستقبل, something that didn't happen. شيء لم يحدث بعد, okay? So most of the times you will find these sentences include these words, okay? When, before, after, etc. We have other words. لدينا كلمات أخرى. So here's an example. I'll do my homework. This is short for I will, okay? سوف. I'll do my homework. My homework is still not done. I still didn't do my homework. لم أقم بواجباتي المنزلية بعد, okay? المدرسية بعد, sorry. I'll do my homework before the movie starts. So here we have two clauses. It's a sentence that have two clauses. هي جملة متكونة من جملتين, okay? The first one is always in the future because it's a future time clause. الأولى دائما تدل على المستقبل, okay? Something that didn't happen yet. The second one, الجملة الثانية, okay? We have to use the present simple. يجب أن نستعمل الحاضر, okay? So before the movie starts. I have the verb start here in the present tense, okay? The last example, I'll meet you when the plane lands, okay? So notice here I have the word before, قبل, okay? And here I have another word which is when, عندما, okay? So I'll meet you, okay? I'll meet you when the plane lands. The plane still didn't land, okay? So I will meet you when the plane lands. I have the verb land in the present simple tense, okay? So these are the present simple uses. This is when we use the present simple. Now this is really important. So please, you need to keep an open mind. You have to concentrate with this one. So here I have three verbs, be, have, and do. So to be, to do, and to have. So to plus a verb is actually the infinitive. The infinitive of the verb is أصل الفعل, okay? The origin, مصدر الفعل, okay? Where did the verb come from? Okay, so أصل الفعل is the infinitive. So to plus the verb. So I have here to be, to have, and to do. So these are the auxiliaries. Now an auxiliary is like a helping word. كلمة مساعدة تساعد الافعال, okay? So auxiliaries are used with verbs, okay? You need to know the auxiliaries to learn how to conjugate verbs. So we have the auxiliary to be, and I have here my subject pronouns, my personal pronouns, ضمائر, okay? So I, for myself, أنا, he, she, it. The third person singular, هي هو, it for animals and object, للأشياء, للحيوانات. And we, so we is myself, me, plus a group of people, okay? أنا ومجموعة من الأشخاص, okay? This is we. You, so we have two yous actually. You for the singular. If I'm addressing you, if I'm addressing one person, I am talking to one person. أتكلم مع شخص واحد, أخاطب شخص واحد directly. So, how are you? And we have you for the plural. أخاطب مجموعة من الأشخاص, a group of people. So, this is a perfect example. I am currently addressing more than 500K subscribers. So, I say, how are you? All of you. I am addressing, أنا أخاطب مجموعة من الأشخاص, مجموعة من المشاهدين, okay? So, they, a group of people, but I'm not included, okay? أنا لست مع group of people, أنا لست مع مجموعة من الأشخاص. I'm only talking about a group of people. أنا أتحدث على مجموعة من الأشخاص. أنا ليس مع المجموعة, okay? So, they, a group of people. So, I am, he, she, it is, we, you, they, are. This is how we conjugate to be. هكا نصرفوا الauxiliary to be. So notice here with he, she, it, with the third person singular, we always have s, okay? دائما تظهر الاس with he, she, and it in the present simple. Always, okay? Have, I have. So have is used to talk about possession. لنتحدث عن الملكية, I have to use the verb have. I have a car. أملك سيارة. She has a house. تملك بيت. Okay? So to talk about possession, something that we own, شيء نملكه. Okay? We have to use the verb have. So he, she, it has. Here's another S. We have, you have, they have. Okay? The last one is do. So I do, he, she, it does. And I have es at the end, which is something we're going to talk about in a few minutes. سوف نتحدث عن es بعد قليل. We, you, they, do. Now, you need to understand that these three verbs are verbs, okay? But most of the times, they are used as auxiliaries, okay? To be, to have, and to do هما أفعال, okay? But نستعملهم كauxiliaries ككلمات مساعدة تساعد الأفعال, okay, in a sentence. You need to understand that we have two types of auxiliaries. هناك نوعان من auxiliaries, okay? So we have primary auxiliaries. To be and to have are considered primary auxiliaries. Why? لماذا? Because they follow the main verb. دائما يتبعوا الفعل في الجملة, okay? And we have to learn how to conjugate them because we need them. In the passive voice, في المبني للمجهول, you need them. You also need them with the present, the progressive tense and the perfect tense. So these are the two tenses. هادو أزمنة أخرى سوف نتحدث عنها في الفيديوهات القادمة إن شاء الله, okay? So to be is used with the progressive tense, the continuous, the past continuous and the present, okay? And have is used with the past perfect and the present perfect. Do, however, is not a primary auxiliary. It's a supporting auxiliary because we only find it in the negative form في صيغة النفي, okay? And the questions في الأسئلة, okay? That's why it's called a supporting auxiliary. So please keep it in mind. Auxiliaries, الكلمات المساعدة. To do, we only find it in the negative and the questions. صيغة النفي والأسئلة. And to be, to have, we find it in the passive في المبني للمجهول and in other tenses في أزمنة أخرى, okay? That's why we need to learn them. That's why you need to understand them and memorize them. تحفظوهم, okay? I have 3 examples of 3 verbs. So we are going to learn how to conjugate them. كيف نصرف هذه الأفعال في present simple في الحاضر, okay? So I have the verb to speak, to wear clothes, and to teach. How do we conjugate them? كيف نصرف هذه الأفعال? So I speak English, okay? So the verb speak here with I, it never changes. So with I, we, you, they, مع هذه الضمائر الverb يبقى the same. الفعل يبقى هو نفسه, okay? We don't add anything. We do not add, لا نضيف أي شيء للفعل, okay? But with he, she, and it, we always add s. And in some cases, we don't just add s, okay? But remember, s has to appear. دائما تظهر الاس. إذا لم تظهر الاس تظهر es, okay? Which is what we're going to talk about. But just understand, keep it in mind, with he, she, and it, the third person singular, there's always s. دائما هناك s, okay? تظهر بطريقة أو بأخرى, okay? So he, she, it speaks. Notice that the final s in English, we pronounce it. دائما ننطق الاس الأخيرة في أي كلمة في اللغة الإنجليزية, okay? Which is something different from French. Not like اللغة الفرنسية لا ننطق الاس عندما تكون في آخر الكلمة, but in English, we always pronounce it. And we have 3 sounds. لدينا 3 أصوات. We have S, the Z sound, Z, and is. Which is also another lesson. هذا درس آخر في diphthongs we're going to talk about. سوف نتحدث عن هذا الدرس في فيديو قادم إن شاء الله. Okay, so stay tuned. Now, he, she, it speaks. We, you, they speak. Okay? Same thing with the verb wear. I wear. We, you, they wear. Nothing changed. لم يتغير شيء, okay? He, she, it wears. If you listen carefully here, it's not like speaks. Speaks with S. But wears, I have a Z sound in the end. Wears, okay? Teach. I teach, we teach, you teach, they teach. He, she, and it teaches. Okay? Now, CH in English is ch, okay? Sometimes it's pronounced like k, for example, Christmas, okay, or chemistry. But most of the times, في معظم الأحيان, we pronounce it as ch, teacher, teach, okay? So here's an S, but we have ES here for a reason. سوف نتحدث عن هذا بعد قليل, okay? So teaches. Even the sound, حتى الصوت تغير, okay? So speaks, S. Wears, Z sound. Teaches, okay? It's longer, هي أطول. Teaches, okay? So she teaches English, for example. Let's take a look at the next slide. So this is spelling wise. We are going to talk about spelling. كيف نصرف الأفعال في الحاضر. Okay, we have some rules. هناك بعض القواعد يجب أن تتعلموها. Okay, but only with the third person singular. Okay, مع هو هي و it for people. For objects and for animals. للحيوانات وللأشياء. Okay, but with the rest مع الضمائر الأخرى, there's no rule. ليس هناك قاعدة لأن الأفعال لا تتغير. Okay, الفعل يبقى نفسه. So the first rule says most verbs, معظم الأفعال, most verbs, the majority of the verbs, we add s. Okay, in the third person singular. And here's an example: walk, walks. Walk, walks. We just add s. Visit, visits. Come, comes. Okay, so most of the times with most of the verbs مع معظم الأفعال في معظم الأحيان we just add s. نضيف s with she, he and it. Okay, pretty basic. Verbs ending in s, double s, ch, sh, or x, we add es with he, she, and it. Remember the verb teach? Teach ends with ch. Okay, ينتهي الفعل teach with C and H. So this is why we added ES. لهذا السبب أضفنا ES وليس S, okay? Because you can't have three consonants, okay? Here's an example. Finish, it ends with SH. It becomes finishes. She finishes her work at 5. And this is a repeated action. هنا نتكلم عن فعل متكرر. هي تعمل every day. هي تعمل كل يوم. And كل يوم تنهي العمل على الساعة 5. Okay, so every day she finishes work at 5 every day. كل يوم تنهي العمل على الساعة 5. So finishes. Watch, watches. Fix, fixes. Okay, so verbs ending in s عندما ينتهي الفعل with s, double s, ch, sh, x. With he, she, and it, نضيف es. We add es in the present simple tense. Okay? Let's take a look at the next spelling rule. Verbs ending in a consonant. So we have, in the alphabets, we have vowels and consonant. أحرف الصوتية. So the vowels are, they have sounds, عندهم صوت. But the consonants, الصامتة. So الأحرف الصامتة, consonants. And the vowels, الأحرف الناطقة, okay, they have sound. So the vowels, they give sounds to the consonants, الأحرف الناطقة, and the consonants, الصامتة. They have no sound, ليس لديها صوت, okay? So verbs ending in a consonant plus y. عندما ينتهي الverb with بحرف صامت and y. The y changes into ies, okay? نحول y إلى ies. With she, he, and it in the present simple tense. So here's an example. Fly. Let's spell the verb. هيا نهجئ الverb fly. F-L-Y. So before the Y, I have L. The letter L. حرف ال هنا هو صوت, حرف صامت is a consonant. So with she, he, and it, I have to change this. I have to change the Y into I-E-S. Okay, so fly becomes flies. Here's another example. Study. Study. Here's the Y. And I have D here, which is a consonant. D حرف صامت. Okay? So with she, he, and it, مع هي, هو, و it, in the present simple, it becomes, so I have to change it. I have to change the Y into I. أستبدل ال Y ب I, and I add ES. I told you. The S always appears. دائما تظهر S in the present simple في زمن الحاضر مع he, she, and it. Always, in one way or another, بطريقة أو بأخرى. إذا لم تظهر S alone S لوحدها تظهر ES. إذا لم تظهر ES alone تظهر IES. Okay? I hope it's clear. The last rule, verbs ending in a vowel. Vowel حرف صوتي, حرف ناطق, okay? Plus Y. The Y doesn't change. You just add S. لن نضيف أي شيء. لا نضيف S فقط. Okay? So here's an example. I have play. Play. Okay? So the spelling P, L, A, and Y. So here's my Y. Before the Y, I have an A. Okay? حرف ال A, which is a vowel. حرف ناطق. Okay? So with he, she, and it in the present simple, I don't change anything. لا أبدل شيء. لا أغير شيء. We just add S. نضيف S فقط with she, he, and it. Okay? Same thing with stay. S-T-A. And I have Y here. So I simply add S with she, he, and it in the present simple tense. Okay? Remember, consonant plus Y. حرف صامت مع Y. It becomes IES. تصبح IES with she, he, and it. Vowel plus Y. حرف ناطق مع Y. Nothing changes. لا يحدث شيء. We just add S. نضيف S. Okay? In the present simple with she, he, and it. Okay? Let's take a look at the negative form. So how to form the negative in the present simple. كيف ننفي الجمل في زمن الحاضر. Okay? So, here's an example. Again, my subject pronouns, my personal pronouns, الضمائر, I, you, we, they, he, she, and it. So, I live in London, okay? I live in London. Actually, I don't. I live in London. So I, and here's my verb, live in London. So I have a verb already, right? عندي فعل هنا. I live. أنا أعيش. أنا أسكن. Okay? I live in London. I want to say the opposite. أريد أن أعكس هذه الجملة. I want to say أنا لا أسكن في لندن. أنا لا أعيش في لندن. Okay? So, with I, you, we, and they, we have to use the auxiliary don't. Remember the auxiliary do? Remember? أتذكرون الauxiliary do? I told you that we only use it with the negative form and the questions. Okay? نستعمله في صيغة النفي. So this is why we need it. لهذا نحتاج the auxiliary do. So don't here, don't is a contraction. Okay? هي صيغة هي do not. Okay? Is a contraction. Okay? Do not becomes don't. Okay? So I don't live in London. We don't live in London. They don't live in London. هم لا يسكنوا في لندن. هم لا يعيشون في لندن. With he, she, and it, we have to use does. Okay? So doesn't is also a contraction. هي does not. Okay? Does not, when we combine them عندما نجمع does not, does plus not, doesn't. So the apostrophe here, this is something you keep in mind. هي دائما تأخذ مكان الحرف الناطق, vowel O or I or A. Okay, just O, I or A. Okay, so he, she, it doesn't. He doesn't live in London. هو لا يعيش في لندن. She doesn't live in London. هي لا تعيش في لندن. Pay attention to the pronunciation. So the pronunciation of the contraction. الطريقة التي ننطق بها الصيغة المبسطة والطريقة التي ننطق بها الصيغة المفصلة are not the same. هي ليس نفس الشيء. So don't, doesn't. Okay? You don't, we don't. She doesn't, he doesn't. If I wanted to pronounce the normal form, الصيغة المفصلة, we say do not and does not. Yeah, sorry, there's no T here. Does not. Okay? Now, let's take a look at the negative form of the verb to be, okay? كيف نستعمل to be في صيغة النفي? We have a different rule. هناك قاعدة أخرى, but it's easier than the previous one. هي أسهل من الطريقة السابقة, okay? So, I have my personal pronouns. I have my subject pronouns. عندي ضمائري. So, I, he, she, it, you, we, they. So, The example is I am a robot, or I can say I am hungry. Now, before I explain the rule, قبل أن أشرح القاعدة, I want you to understand something, okay? And you know, this has helped me a lot in my English learning, and I hope it will help you, okay? إن شاء الله سوف تساعدكم هذه المعلومة, okay? So in the English language, you can never make a sentence, you can never form a sentence, you can never create a sentence. لا يمكنك أن تركب جملة without a verb, بدون فعل, okay? أيا كان the verb, okay? So if you are not using a verb of action, أفعال حركة. So a verb of action requires an action. It has a movement, okay? في حركة, okay? هناك شيء يتحرك. ما هو الشيء الذي يتحرك? What is it? The subject of the sentence, okay? So if I say, I go to the gym. So go here is a verb of action because هناك حركة. I go, أنا أذهب إلى الجيم. She eats breakfast every morning. She eats. So تأكل. تأكل is also a movement, okay? فعل to be في صيغة النفي. So the rule is very simple. We just add not, okay? So we just add not. فقط نضيف not after the verb to be. بعد الفعل to be. بعد am, is, or are. After am, is, or are. So I am hungry, or I am a robot, becomes I am not a robot. I am not a robot. So I am not here is the long form, الصيغة المفصلة. The contraction, the short form, however, الصيغة المبسطة is I'm not, okay? Again, I have apostrophe here. So I told you the apostrophe replaces a vowel, تستبدل أو تأخذ مكان الحرف الناطق. So here, it was A, okay? It took the place of A, okay? وضعناها في مكان الفاول الحرف الناطق A. So I'm not a robot, or I am not. Contraction, long form. صيغة مفصلة, صيغة مبسطة. Okay? So, he, she, it is not a robot. He, she, it is not hungry. So, he, she is not hungry. So, is not is plus not. The contraction, الصيغة المفصلة, is isn't. Okay? Isn't. ISN apostrophe T. The apostrophe here replaced the vowel O, okay? أخذت الapostrophe مكان الحرف الناطق O, okay? He isn't a robot. She isn't a robot. It isn't a robot, okay? Same thing with you, we, they. You are not a robot, we are not a robot, and they are not a robot. So we are not hungry, we are not tired. I'm describing a state. أصف في حالتنا. Okay? كيف نشعر؟ نشعر بالجوع، نشعر بالتعب. Okay? So are not, the contraction, now the combination, I want to make a combo. Okay? سأجمع are مع not, and it becomes aren't. A-R-E-N apostrophe T. Aren't. So again, the pronunciation of the contractions, okay? The pronunciation of the short form and the long form are different, okay? الطريقة التي ننطق بها الصيغة المفصلة والطريقة التي ننطق بها الصيغة المبسطة are completely different, okay? So هي مختلفة. So are not, aren't. Is not, isn't. I'm not, I'm not. I am not, I'm not, okay? So this is how we make the negative form. صيغة النفي باستعمال to be is easier than the other verbs. هي أسهل من الأفعال الأخرى. So just remember, if I have to be, okay? تذكروها جيدا. If I have to be, لدي verb to be in my sentence, I want to make the negative form. أريد أن أحولها إلى النفي. I just keep the verb. أبقي على to be. Am, is, are, plus not. If I have another verb, do, eat, sing, play, dance, visit, okay, travel, I don't care, any other verb, أي فعل, ما عدا, except for the verb to be, I use the auxiliary, don't and doesn't. So doesn't with he, she, it, third person singular, and the rest, باقي الضمائر, I just use don't, okay? Sometimes it's not going to be easy in the English tests and the exams. Why? Because they don't always give you the personal pronouns, okay? هي لن تكون سهلة. لن تجدوا الضمائر دائما في موضوع الامتحان, okay, أو الفرض in the English. the test or the exam. Sometimes you just find words, تجدون كلمات, okay? So the trick is to find the subject pronoun that replaces that word. طريقة جيدة هي أن تحاول أن تستبدل الكلمة التي تجدها بالضمير. So for example, my subject was the weather is terrible. الطقس سيء. The weather is terrible. Let me write it here. So the weather الطقس is bad or terrible or horrible. So I have my subject here. الموضوع, okay, الكلمة الأولى, but I don't have a personal pronoun. ليس لدي ضمير. I just have a word, كلمة, okay? And the verb here is to be. Why? Because I am describing the state of the weather. أنا أصف حالة الطقس, okay? There's no movement, okay? ليس هناك أي action, أي حركة. So the weather is bad. Now, if I want to replace the weather, أريد أن أستبدل the weather with the personal pronoun بضمير, of course it's going to be it, okay? It is. So it replaces the weather, okay? Sometimes I have a name. You find Ronald or, I don't know, Katie, okay? So Katie is a name of a person, اسم شخص, okay? And it's a name of a girl, of a female, okay? So she, هي. Ronald is a name of a male, a name of مذكر, okay? اسم رجل, okay? So اسم مذكر, so I have to replace it with he. Sometimes you find, for example, my friends and I can replace it with we. نحن, my friends, أصدقائي, my friends, and I, وأنا. So a group of people, my friends, مجموعة من الأشخاص, plus myself, زائد أنا. Okay, so my friends and I, we can replace it with we. Okay, so these are a few useful tricks that can help you in the English test or the English exam. All right. So let's take a look at signal words. Now, to be honest, this is not a fixed rule. هذه ليست قاعدة like تامة, okay? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. يمكنك أن تستعملها أحيانا and أحيانا you can't use it, okay? So I sometimes work late. I sometimes work late. Here's my verb work in the present simple. So my verb work here is in the present simple في الحاضر, and I have the personal pronoun I, أنا. I'm talking about myself. أتحدث عن نفسي. So I sometimes work late. Notice the word here, I have it in green, sometimes. So sometimes is an adverb of frequency. Now frequency adverbs, they tell us frequency, how often. So how often, how many times, كم مرة نفعل or نكرر فعل, okay? So أنا أحيانا work late, أعمل لوقت متأخر. Not every day, not always, ليس دائما, but sometimes, أحيانا. So I sometimes work late. If we use the adverb of frequency, we use the present tense. نستعمل زمن الحاضر, okay? Sorry. Okay, the next one, we always finish work at 6. We always finish work at 6. Every day. This is a repeated action. فعل يتكرر دائما. We always finish work at 6. So I have the verb here, finish. We keep the verb as it is. نبقي على الفعل the way it is, كما هو, because we have the personal pronoun we. نحن. The verb doesn't change. الفعل لا يتغير, okay? The next sentence, she's never late for school. So never here means أبدا, okay? She's always early. هي دائما تأتي مبكرا للمدرسة. So she's never late for school. Now I have here the contraction. هذه الصيغة المبسطة of what? Of she is. She is becomes shiz. She's never late for school. Now I have to explain something. Even though this is a little bit off topic, هذا ليس موضوعنا, but I have to tell you. So here, if you can see the verbs, the adverbs of frequency, sometimes, always. And then I have my verb, work, finish. But take a look at this example. I have the verb is and then the adverb of frequency. بدأت بالفعل and then I added the adverb of frequency. So when you have the verb to be is an exception. حالة استثنائية هو الverb to be. So with the verb to be, عندما نتحدث عن الفريكونسي كم مرة أفعل شيء ما. So we have to put the adverb of frequency after the verb. But if we have any other verb, إذا عندنا أفعال أخرى, so they go before, okay? This is the difference. So with the verb to be, it comes after, and the verb with other verbs, it comes before. Another one, I'm always hungry at night. I'm actually hungry right now. I can literally hear my stomach rumbling. So yeah, I'm always hungry at night, which means every night. This is a repeated action. هذا فعل متكرر. كل ليلة I am hungry. So I am always hungry. Again, I have the verb to be and the الفعل to be. Always. I can't say I always am hungry. This is incorrect. هذا خطأ. لا يمكنني أن أقول I always am hungry. She never is late. No. With the verb to be is the opposite. Okay? مع الverb to be ناقص. We switch the position. ناقص موقع الفعل والadverb of frequency. Okay? He goes to the gym twice a week. مرتين في الأسبوع. So he goes to the gym twice a week. Again, نحن نتحدث عن frequency. كم مرة هو يذهب إلى the gym? Twice a week. Okay? So he goes. I have the verb go in the present simple with he. So I add es. He goes to the gym twice a week. The last one, my mom cooks every day. Another repeated action, because this action happens every day on a daily basis. A daily basis بشكل يومي. كل يوم, okay? كل يوم. My mom cooks. I have the verb cook. I added s, okay? Because I have my mom. If I want to replace my mom, أريد أن أستبدل my mom with a personal pronoun بضمير. What is it going to be? ما هو الضمير? What is it going to be? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Yes. If you say she, you are right, my friend. So she cooks every day. Again, repeated action. So when you find these words, when you encounter these words, عندما تجدون هذه الكلمات, sometimes the verb is in the present simple. Most of the times, في معظم الأحيان, الفعل يصرف في الحاضر, in the present simple, okay? So sometimes, always, never, twice a week, every day, every week, every month, every year, okay? So you can conjugate the verb in the present simple when you find these words. Capiche? Okay. So now let's take a look at the second tense for today, because today we're not only talking about the present simple, today we're actually talking about two tenses. اليوم سوف نتكلم عن زمنين. So we talked about the present simple, تكلمنا عن الحاضر, and now we have to talk about the past simple, الماضي. So the past simple tense, okay? So the past simple expresses a finished action in the past. فعل or حدث في الماضي, and it is complete. انتهى, okay? It happened, حدث, what happened, okay? Moving on. So a finished action. انتهت الأكشن. Example here is we met each other in 2014. التقينا في عام 2014. Okay, 2014. So we met each other in 2014. The verb here, met. Okay, this is the past. هذا الفعل الماضي للverb. So the infinitive مصدر الفعل كان meet. Okay, to meet someone. تلتقي بشخص. So meet, double E. The pronunciation, meet, ننطق meet, and in the past, met, التقيت. Meet, التقي, met, التقيت. So, we met each other in 2014, okay? We also use the past simple to talk about actions that follow each other in a story. Okay, so if I'm telling a story that happened in the past, أنا أسرد قصة وقعت في الماضي, okay, a long time ago. في قديم الزمان, or you know, in a long time. So I have to use the verbs in the past, okay? Here's an example. For example, I'm telling a story about my friend Jane, okay? She's my imaginary friend. She's not my real friend. هي شخصية خيالية. Yes, my friend is not Jane. So, Jane walked into the house and stopped. She listened carefully. She heard a strange noise coming from the kitchen. Whoa. She turned the lights on, and then she saw, I don't know what did she see, to be honest, and then she saw, God knows what. I don't know. أنا لا أعلم ماذا رأت, but I think she saw maybe her sister eating food at night, maybe her sister having snacks. So, Jane walked. This is a story, okay? هذه قصة. So, Jane walked. So, Jane walked into the room. I'm using the verb walk, مشت. Walked into. Walk became walked. Jane walked into the house and stopped. She listened. So, the T here is silent, okay? Listened. Carefully, she heard a strange noise, okay? صوت غريب. So, a strange noise coming from the kitchen. She turned the lights on, أشعلت الضوء, and bam! And then she saw. So, this is the past simple of the verb see. رأت, okay? أرى, رأى, أو رأت, okay? So, W here, we don't say saw, okay? Saw. I saw, she saw, okay? So, I have a story here. Different actions, أفعال, أحداث متسلسلة in a sequence. So I have to use the past simple. نستعمل الماضي عندما نسرد القصص التي حدثت في الماضي. Okay? 5 minutes ago is the past. 5 دقائق قبل 5 دقائق is the past. هو الماضي. Okay? So a long time ago is also the past. الماضي. Now, another use of the past simple is when we talk about a habit or a situation, okay, that used to exist in the past and now it doesn't, okay. عادة أو سلوك, okay, في الماضي, ولكن الآن هي ليست عادة anymore, okay. It doesn't exist. So, for example, when I was a kid, I'm an adult now, but I was a kid. When I was a kid, we lived in a small house by the river, okay? Every morning, I walked miles on the beach. So when I was a kid, now I'm an adult. So هذا حدث في الماضي عندما كنت طفل صغير, okay? We lived in a small house by the river. Lived. Maybe now, in the present, in the meantime, maybe now في الوقت هذا نحن لا نسكن في small house by the river. We don't live in the same house. لا نسكن في نفس البيت. Okay? We moved. انتقلنا إلى بيت آخر. So this was a situation in the past. هذا كانت حدث في past. Okay? Now, when we lived in a small house by the river, every morning I walked miles on the beach. في كل morning, every morning. This is a repeated action, but in the past. Okay? This is something I used to do, okay? هذا فعل متكرر كنت أفعله when I was a kid عندما كنت صغير, okay? So every morning I walked for miles on the beach. But today I don't walk for miles on the beach. أنا اليوم لا أمشي في البحر because I don't live in the small house. So this situation was in the past, okay? Habit, سلوك in the past. But now it's not a habit, okay? هي ليس عادة في الحاضر, okay? But in the past, في الماضي, it was. So I have the verb here, was, which is the verb be in the past simple, lived, and walked, okay? So again, let's talk about our friends, the three sisters or the three brothers, the auxiliaries, okay? I call them three sisters. So, auxiliaries are very important. So we talked about how to conjugate them. تحدثنا عن كيف نصرف الauxiliaries في present في الحاضر. And now we are going to do the same thing. نفعل نفس الشيء في الماضي, in the past. Okay? So, with my personal pronouns here, I was. Okay? I was. He, she, it was. We, you, they were. Okay? So I was a kid. He was a doctor. She was a doctor. It was raining. We, you, and they, we have were. I were. Not where, which is the WH question. The pronunciation النطق يختلف عن كلمة where, which is أين, and we use it for questions. But this is were, okay? She were, she was. We were, you were, okay? You were absent, for example, okay? So it changes here with we, you, and they. By the way, in the past simple, she, he, and it, the third person singular are no longer a problem. ليس هناك مشكلة مع he, she, and it لأن الverb لا يتغير. لا نغير الverb، لا نغير الفعل في الماضي مع هي وهو and it, okay? Only in the present simple. So same thing with have. عندي كان عندي. Okay, so I had, he, she, it had, we, you, they had. We did not change the verb had. The verb have, okay, with all the personal pronouns, okay? Same thing goes with the other verbs. نفس الشيء مع باقي الأفعال. مع كل الضمائر يبقى الفعل نفسه, okay? من I إلى we or they. فقط حالة استثنائية مع to be, okay, with we, you, and they. Some verbs have two forms. Some verbs have two forms of the past. بعض الأفعال لديهم two forms. نصرفهم بطريقتين في الباست مع بعض الضمائر, and we call them irregular, which is something we are going to talk about. سنتحدث عن هذا irregular verbs بعد قليل, okay? So, the last one, do, أفعل, did, فعل. So, I did, he did, she did, it did, we, you, they did, okay? So this is how we conjugate the auxiliaries in the past simple. هذه هي الطريقة كيف نصرف الauxiliaries, وهي الكلمات المساعدة التي تساعد الأفعال in the past, في الماضي. Alright? Let's talk about the spelling rules, okay? So I told you we have two types of verbs. هناك نوعين من الأفعال. The regular ones and the irregular ones. The regular ones are the normal ones, the base verbs. أفعال عادية, okay? The irregular verbs, however, are called الأفعال الشاذة, okay? So let's start with the easy ones, الأفعال السهلة, وهي الأفعال العادية, the regular verbs, okay? How do we conjugate them in the past? كيف نصرف a regular verb فعل عادي في زمن الماضي. Alright? The normal rule, الطريقة العادية, القاعدة العادية, is to add ed. نضيف ed at the end, في نهاية الفعل. I have an example, work, أعمل. عملت, worked. Okay? So I kept the verb. لن أغير الفعل وأضيف ed. Work, worked. Start, أبدأ. بدأت, started. Okay? So work, worked. Start, started. Okay, we just add ed. فقط نضيف ed إلى الفعل مع كل الضمائر. I worked, you worked, she worked, we worked, they worked. Okay, I started, she started, we started, they started, it started. كيفيش؟ The second rule, القاعدة الثانية, verbs ending in e. الأفعال التي تنتهي ب e. Okay, which is a vowel. حرف الناطق e. So we just add ed. We don't add another e. لا نضيف e أخرى, okay? We already have it. هي لدينا e. فقط نضيف d, okay? So live becomes lived. أعيش, عشت, okay? Love, loved. So here I already have e. أنا لدي e هنا. So with in the past simple, we just add d. We can't just say, we can't do this, okay? One e, فقط e واحدة. Alright? So, normal verbs, normal rule, we simply add ed مع كل الضمائر with all the personal pronouns. With verbs that end with e, أفعال تنتهي ب e, we just add d. فقط نضيف d at the end. Okay. Another spelling rule of regular verbs, the أفعال العادية. So, verbs that have only one syllable. Now, a syllable, we talked about this, I think. A syllable is a beat, a sound. A sound in a word هو مقطع. مقطع that has sound. مقطع لديه صوت in a word. في كلمة. So words have syllables, okay? One syllable, sometimes words have more than one syllable. لديهم أكثر من مقطع واحد مقطع صوتي. 2 syllables, 3 syllables, 4 syllables, okay? It depends on the word, okay? تختلف حسب طول الكلمة. So verbs that have only one syllable and one vowel. حرف ناطق واحد and one consonant, حرف صامت. We double the consonant and we add ed. Here's an example. Stop, stop. So stop here, how many syllables do I have? Only one. لدي مقطع صوتي واحد. Stop, stop. I didn't change the voice. لن أغير الصوت, okay? Sorry, my Arabic comes and goes. So أنا لا أغير الصوت هنا. Stop. Only one صوت. Only صوت واحد. So stop becomes stopped, but I have to double the final consonant, guys. We double the final consonant. So do we have one vowel? Yes, check. One syllable? Yeah, stop. How many vowels do I have? S-T-O-P. One vowel. Plus the final consonant. So what do I do? أعيد كتابة. So we double. أعيد كتابة الحرف الصامت. Double P. And then we add ed. Here's another example. Plan. Plan. Only one syllable. صوت واحد. Plan. Check. How many vowels? كم حرف ناطق في هذه الكلمة? So we have A. Only one vowel. So what do? We just double the consonant. Plan, planned. Stop, stopped. Okay? So one syllable, one vowel, and one consonant. Okay? Just remember SVC. Just remember it like this. SVC. S for syllable, V for vowel, C for consonant. SVC, we double the final C, the final consonant. In the past simple, with all the personal pronouns. مع كل الضمائر. Alright? Another rule, قاعدة أخرى, verbs that end in a consonant plus Y. الأفعال التي تنتهي بحرف صامت plus Y, we change the Y into I and we add ed, okay? So, study. I need to write. Okay, so I have study here. So S-T-U-D-Y. So here's the Y. And I have a consonant. So what do? The Y becomes I. I change Y, أستبدل Y بI. And I simply add ed. فقط أضيف ed in the past. Same thing with carry, okay? Carry, carried. Study, أدرس, درست, studied, okay? I carry, okay? I carry heavy bags. I carried heavy bags, okay? So, Y changes into I plus ed if we have a consonant before. So let's talk about the negative form. How to form the negative in the past. كيف نستعمل صيغة النفي مع الماضي. All right? So here's the sentence formula, the sentence structure. هذا تركيب الجملة. Okay, so it starts with the subject. يمكن أن يكون subject personal pronoun, I, he, she, we, they, or a name of a person, or a word, the school, the weather, the phone, the building, Donald, Ronald, Sab, okay, she, okay? So we have to use the auxiliary, guys. Remember the auxiliary, do. الكلمة المساعدة do, the auxiliary. So do, in the past, when we conjugate it, عندما نصرف do in the past, it becomes did. So do is an irregular verb, okay? هو فعل شاذ, okay? So I told you in the negative form, في صيغة النفي, you always have to include not. دائما تضيف not in the negative form, okay? So didn't here is actually a contraction. صيغة مبسطة لي did not, okay? So we just added not to did. A combination, did plus not, didn't. So my sentence here, remember the sentence I live in London? For example, I say I lived in London, عشت في London. But I want to say no, لم أعش في London in the past. So I didn't live in London. We didn't live in London. They didn't live in London. Okay, again, didn't with all the personal pronouns مع كل الضمائر. Okay, because we are talking about the past. نتحدث عن الماضي. So didn't. Okay, again, the apostrophe here, it replaces, of course, a vowel. Okay, this is something to retain. This is something to remember. And I have my verb without to, so the infinitive, أصل الفعل, also known as aka stem, and the object of the sentence. لا نغير شيء, we just add فقط نضيف didn't مع كل الضمائر في صيغة النفي in the past simple. Alright guys? Now let's talk about the irregular verbs. Now, to be honest, the regular verbs are the simple verbs, okay? هم أفعال عادية, okay? And they have specific rules. لديهم قاعدات, قاعدة تامة, قاعدة لا تتغير, okay? You just apply the rule, فقط تطبق القاعدة, and the rest is gravy, okay? The rest is easy, okay? But the irregular verbs are tricky. The irregular verbs are not our friends. They are the enemies, your enemies. Actually, I love irregular verbs. So irregular verbs are الافعال الشاذة. Now, to be honest, there is no rule. There is no specific rule when it comes to irregular verbs. ليس هناك أي قاعدة في قواعد اللغة الإنجليزية حول كيفية استعمال الأفعال الشاذة, because they are unique. هم أفعال فريدة من نوعها. Yes, I hope I translated that okay. So, irregular verbs have their own unique form. They have a special form. لديهم صيغتهم المميزة, صيغتهم الخاصة, okay? And there's no rule. The only solution for you is to memorize them. الحل الوحيد هو أن تحفظهم, okay? أو تحاولوا أن تتذكروهم. That's why I have a list of common verbs. لهذا السبب أنا لدي قائمة لأفعال المتكررة في شهادة البكالوريا or الأفعال المتكررة في our daily conversations في حواراتنا اليومية, okay? So I'm going to include it in the description box. سأتركها في صندوق الوصف after I post this video, okay? So please check it out. Now, irregular verbs, to be is one of them. To be هو واحد من الأفعال الشاذة. So to be is irregular and has two forms. لديه صيغتين, okay? So with I was, she was, he was, it was. So she was tired, she was sick, هي كانت مريضة. With you and they and we, it's were. So we were absent, they were excited, okay? كانوا متحمسين. So of course we use to be to describe a state. نصف حالة وقعت في الحاضر أو حالة وقعت في الماضي. Alright? The next rule, القاعدة التالية هي other irregular verbs have only one form. لديهم صيغة واحدة. The other verbs. For example, go. ذهب. أذهب. ذهب. So, go in the infinitive هي أصل الفعل هو go. In the past, with all the personal pronouns مع كل الضمائر, it becomes went. Went. Guys, please do not mix these two verbs. Some verbs are very confusing. So we have the verb want here. Oh, let me just write it here. I hope you can see it. So listen, W-E-N-T, went, which is the past of the verb go, ذهب or ذهبت, ذهبنا, all right? But want, W-A-N-T, want, is a verb in the infinitive. أريد, أردت, wanted, okay? So please be careful. I always say this to my students. I always tell them that a single vowel, one single vowel changes everything. حرف ناطق واحد يغير معنى الكلمة. So sometimes you want to say a word. تريد أن تقول كلمة, but then you end up saying another word. تقوم بخطأ بسيط, and then تقول كلمة أخرى لديها معنى آخر. معنى مختلف عن الكلمة التي تريد أن تقولها. It's completely different from the word that you're trying to say. So for example here, went is different from want, okay? Remember, a single vowel changes everything. A single vowel changes the meaning of the word. حرف ناطق واحد يغير معنى الكلمة، يغير الكلمة بأكملها. Sorry, الكاملة. What is that? Okay. Another example here, do, did, with all the personal pronouns. I went, she went, we went, they went. So we did our homework, okay? Now, here's a list of some irregular verbs, okay? These are not the only common ones. هذا جزء من القائمة التي حضرتها، قائمة الأفعال المتكررة، قائمة الأفعال الشاذة المتكررة في الفروض، اختبارات، and also في محادثات الإنجليزية اليومية, okay? That we use, التي نستعملها, that I personally use, التي أستعملها, okay? So I have here the base verb, which is the infinitive, أصل الفعل. So break, to break. What is this? Yeah, for example, to break a bone, okay? كسر, yes. إصابة, for example. So break in the past, broke. I broke, she broke her bones, for example. She broke her wrist, okay? Broke. Cut, it stays the same. Some irregular verbs, they stay the same. بعض الأفعال الشاذة لا يتغير. Okay, لا يتغير مصدر الفعل، هو نفسه الفعل في الماضي، في past. Alright? Eat, ate. Okay? Nothing much has changed here. We just switched the position of the vowels. Get, got. No, and guys, please, for the love of God, the K is silent. There's no such thing as kno. Okay, please. No, new. Just, it's like you're saying the adjective new, which is شيء جديد, new. So, no, new. Make, made. She made a birthday cake last night. Okay? Say, said. Tell, told. Understand, understood. Write, wrote. Same thing here, the W is silent, okay? We do not say لا ننطق right, okay? So it's right, wrote, okay? No, new. So again, this is not the whole list. هذه ليس القائمة بأكملها, okay? هذا جزء من القائمة. I will leave the list in the description box. سأترك القائمة في صندوق الوصف so you can check it out. And please, do check it out, okay? So again, this is... these are a few examples of irregular verbs. بعض أمثلة للأفعال الشاذة. All right, in the past simple with all the personal pronouns. Okay? Signal words / time expressions. Same thing here. Sometimes we use some time expressions that indicate the past. بعض الكلمات التي يمكننا من خلالها أن نتعرف على زمن الفعل وهو الماضي. All right? I have the first example. I went to Brazil last week. الأسبوع الماضي. So the first word of today is last. Last, which is الماضي. So last week, أسبوع الماضي. Last summer, صيف الماضي. Last winter, شتاء الماضي. Last month, الشهر الماضي. Okay? Last July. جويليا الماضي, yeah. So last plus a word indicates the past because it's in the past. الماضي, the past. Okay. So your signal words for today are last week, last month, last summer, last something. The second signal word, they got married in 2016 or they got married on May 21st. This is a cardinal number. This is an ordinal number, sorry. So we have two types of numbers. لدينا نوعين من الأرقام في الإنجليزية. Another video, another lesson, okay? I just wanted you to know that when we talk about the dates عندما نتحدث عن التواريخ في اللغة الإنجليزية نستعمل الordinal numbers, okay? Normal numbers 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 20 20. But when we talk about the dates نتحدث عن تواريخ, if I say الأول من شهر December, for example, I can't say the 1 December, the 1 of December. So the 1st of December or December 1st. Same thing here. نفس الشيء هنا. May. الثاني الواحد والعشرين. Yeah, so is the 21st. Now, the signal words here are in plus a year, okay? in مع عام, in 1990 something, في 1900 في 2000 و blah blah blah. So in plus signal word. Or on. Guys, these are prepositions of time, okay? We're going to talk about them inshallah in other videos, okay? So on plus a month and a day. So this is a date, هذا تاريخ كامل, okay? And this is a year. So in plus year or on plus date. in مع عام, on في مع تاريخ. It indicates the past. نستعملها مع الحاضر. Sorry, مع الماضي. The next example, she arrived 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, منذ or قبل. Okay, so she arrived, هي وصلت منذ أسبوعين. So ago, this is the signal word. She arrived 2 days ago. She arrived 2 hours ago. منذ ساعتين, منذ يومين, منذ, I don't know, 9 months, 9 أشهر, something like that. Okay? The last example, we didn't finish on time yesterday. Yesterday, البارحة. Or the day before yesterday. A day before. اليوم الذي يأتي قبل البارحة. Yeah. The day before yesterday. يوم من قبل. So, yesterday, the day before, ago, in plus year, on plus date مع تاريخ, last مع last week, last summer, last month, last July. So these are signal words, time expressions, كلمات يمكنكم من خلالها أن تتعرفوا على زمن الماضي. So if you have these words in a sentence, if you have these words, إذا رأيتم هذه الكلمات في الجملة ولديكم تمرين حول تصريف الفعل, you just immediately, okay, مباشرة تصرف الفعل في الماضي, okay? You don't have to think about it. It's a no-brainer. You don't have to think, okay? لا تفكر twice. Don't think twice. لا تفكر مرتين. Just conjugate the verbs in the past. فقط صرف الفعل في الماضي, okay? Okay, let's take some examples, okay? We have an exercise here. So, write the correct form of the verbs between brackets. So I have verbs here. أفعال بين قوسين نقوم بتصريفها. Together, you and me, okay? The first sentence, I blank, فراغ, Jane, when I was young. And I have the verb meet. So meet is ألتقي. So, I blank Jane when I was young. When I was young. Okay, I'm not young now. So, what should I do? Which tense? أي زمن أستعمل? Present or the past? الحاضر أم الماضي? When I was young. So this is a finished action. هذا حدث في الماضي. So I met Jane when I was young. التقيت بجين عندما كنت صغير. So met here is an irregular verb. فعل شاذ. Okay? So the ED rule لا نطبق عليه القاعدة تاع ED, okay? The ED rule does not apply on the verb meet because it's irregular. هو ليس فعل عادي. All right? So, the next example, their son, blank, brown eyes, and I have the verb have. So, is there an action here? هل هناك حركة? Nothing is moving. لا ليس هناك شيء يتحرك, okay? So, their son, blah, blah, brown eyes. What am I doing here? Is there an action? No, no action. Am I describing something or someone? Yes, that's true. أنا أصف who? Their son, ابنهم. And their son has, because, well, if I want to replace son with a personal pronoun, إذا أردت أن أستبدل son مع ضمير, it's going to be he, هو. Okay, so he has brown eyes. I'm describing him. I'm describing his physical appearance. أصف مظهره الخارجي. So he has, هو لديه brown eyes. Okay. The next example, men, random men, blah blah on the moon in 1969. And the verb here is land. هبط. I want to say هبط. Okay, هبط. Okay, أهبط, هبط. So, I just gave you the answer. Oh my God. So I have here a signal word in plus year. في عام. Okay? So of course, it's in the past. So landed, because it's irregular. هو فعل عادي فقط أضيف ed. I just add ed. So man landed on the moon. هبط on the moon in 1969. The next example, she usually blah blah work at 9 a.m. She usually work at 9 a.m. The verb start. I'm gonna underline this for a reason. So usually is a signal word. It's an adverb of frequency. Adverb of frequency. Is there anything clicking here? Yes, the present tense. So she usually starts because it's a repeated action. It's something that happens. Maybe not every day. Maybe ليس كل يوم يحدث هذا الشيء ولكن يحدث sometimes. So usually. More than sometimes. أكثر من أحيانا. Okay? غالبا, I think. The boss, or my boss, the boss blank his office 5 minutes ago. And the verb here, leave. Leave أغادر. I want to say غادر in the past, okay? So I have here a signal word, ago. So منذ 5 minutes. 5 minutes ago. So of course, I need to use the past. And the past of leave is left because it's an irregular verb. هو فعل شاذ, so leave, left. The boss left his office 5 minutes ago. غادر مكتب 5 minutes ago. منذ 5 minutes. The last example, he blank too much. And the verb smoke. What should I do? What should I use? Are you thinking? Did you guys guess it? Did you? Yes, I'm talking about a habit. هذه عادة. هو متعود. So he smokes too much. So I just add s because I have he here. This is a habit. هذه عادة. So his routine, something that he does. It's a repeated action. Okay? So he smokes too much. He smokes too much. Okay? So again, use this trick. استعملوا هذه الخدعة. Always underline the signal words. Always قوموا بتسطير السيجنال words. الwords التي من خلالها يمكنكم أن تتعرفوا على زمن الفعل. Okay? So we have here, for example, in, ago. Okay? And sometimes you can understand from the meaning of the sentence, of course. Sometimes إذا لم تجدوا signal words حاولوا أن تفهموا معنى الجملة. Okay? So you can identify the tense of the verb لكي تتعرفوا على الزمن الذي تصرفون فيها الفعل. Alright? So, I think this is it for today. Today was lesson 1, okay? And it was a very important lesson. درس مهم, especially for the baccalaureate. خاصة لتلاميذ شهادة البكالوريا, okay? But even those who don't have the baccalaureate exam, حتى التلاميذ الذين يدرسون في متوسطة قد يجدون هذا الدرس مفيد. And I hope it was crystal clear. So today we only talked about past simple and the present. تحدثنا عن الماضي والحاضر. How to make the negative form. كيف نستعمله في صيغة النفي. How to conjugate them. كيف نصرفهم. Some fixed rules. بعض القواعد التي لا تتغير. Some spelling rules and also some rules that can change. Okay, بعض القاعدات التي يمكنها أن تتغير. Also some verbs, some common verbs that are irregular. Again, I will leave the common verbs list in the description box. سأترك list قائمة بعض الأفعال الشاذة التي تتكرر في الإنجليزية في صندوق الوصف. Do check it out, and I will see you in the next video, inshallah. I hope this was crystal clear. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate. لا تترددوا. Please leave a comment under the video. If you're not subscribed, do subscribe because the upcoming videos, الفيديوهات القادمة إن شاء الله, are going to be useful and they're going to be all about the baccalaureate prep. الفيديوهات القادمة سوف يكونون حول تحضير لشهادة البكالوريا. Also تحضير لشهادة التعليم المتوسط. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. اشتركوا في القناة and also leave a comment. And also don't forget to turn on the notification, the bell. Click على جرس النوتيفيكيشن so that you will be notified every time I post a video. You can also check our Facebook page. يمكنكم زيارة صفحتنا على الفيسبوك for more inquiries about مدرسة. So this is it for today. I will see you guys soon. Take care and always practice English, okay? Because practice makes perfect, okay? See you. Goodbye. إلى اللقاء. See you guys soon. Take care.